Welcome to the Church of Christ at Washington Park. Morning.
And if you have your lesson book, turn to page number 39. At the top of page number 39, it says lesson 12 here. The writer says, the apostle showed in the first 5 verses of this chapter that Christians have a responsibility toward one another spiritually. We are to help temporarily bear the burdens of each other in verse 2, but each of us is ultimately responsible before God for his own conduct, verse 5. Perhaps fearing that some would misconstrue the instructions that each one shall bear his own load, Paul now has more to say about the spiritual individual's use of his money and material things. He focuses first on a specific and fairly narrow application, then upon a broader one. Number 1, he says Christians' responsibility to share materially with those who preach and teach the gospel. Also, number 2, responsibility toward all the poor, but especially fellow Christians. He demonstrates how a person prioritizes the use of his money not only shows whether he is living to the flesh or the spirit, but also helps define the seed he is sowing and the crop he will reap. Providing for the needs of Christian teachers. Verse 6 establishes the main focus of this short section. One of the gifts given to the church is its evangelists, pastors, elders, and teachers. Ephesians 4:11. The apostle, as he does elsewhere in other epistles, establishes the right of these spiritual instructors to be financially supported and the responsibility of the people taught to provide that material support. He gives some scriptures here, 1 Corinthians 9, 3 through 14, 2 Corinthians 11, 2 through 7, Philippians 4, 10 through 19, 2 Thessalonians 3, 7 through 9, and 1 Timothy chapter 5, verses 17 and 18. This connects to what Paul previously has instructed concerning fleshly approaches to life in contrast with spiritual approach. To use one's material goods simply for self-gratification is fleshly, but to use one's resources for both personal spiritual growth and to help others grow spiritually is spiritual. The King James Version says, the taught are to communicate with those who teach. This doesn't mean simply to talk with them. Communication here means to share with someone, to give a share to have fellowship with a person. It is a mutual sharing, as Paul shows, because the teacher is sharing his knowledge of spiritual things. The recipient, in turn, is sharing his physical blessings. See also Romans chapter 15, verse number 27. The taught are to share in all good things. This could be more than just physical things, but the context seems to focus primarily on the physical support of the spiritual teacher. See the following scriptures for similar uses of the idea of good things. And he has here Luke chapter 1, verse 53, and also Luke chapter 16 and verse number 25. Brother Walker, if you will, Galatians chapter 6, verses 6 through verse number 10. Galatians chapter 6, verses 6 through verse number 10.
Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
All right, thank you, Brother. Now, as we finished up on last time, we were talking about Galatians chapter 6 and verse number 6, and how the church is, as Paul says here, is to communicate with the preacher. And as the writer pointed out, this communication here, it means to share. It means to share. It does not just mean a conversation back and forth. It means to share with the preacher in all good things. Now, as I said before, there are those who don't think that the preacher should be paid. Yeah, they say, well, Peter was a fisherman, and Paul was a tent maker. Yeah, and some of them, they believe that they were not paid by the church. They had real jobs, they say, real jobs. And so I looked into this thing for myself. I looked into it, and this is what I found. Turn with me to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse number 8. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse number 8. Paul says here, he says, I rob other churches, taking wages of them to do you service. What does wages mean? Yeah, all of us who are still working, we go to our job, and at the end of the week, we expect some wages, don't we? Yeah. And so I don't understand where people are coming up with these positions, Now, the preacher, he should, no, this is a job. It's a job. And Paul says, he said, I rob other churches, taking wages of them to do you service. Now to me, this right here, this is really a sad commentary on the church at Corinth. Yeah, it's a sad commentary on them. Yeah. Not only them, any other church of Christ that won't at least do what they can for the preacher. Paul says that he took wages from other churches in order to work for them. That's sad. Yeah, that's sad. And me personally, I believe that our love, not only for the preacher, but for the church as a whole, this should reflect in our giving when we lay by in store on the first day of the week. I think it should reflect in that. And there's much more we can say about that, but we're going to move on. Paul says in Galatians chapter 6, in verse number 7, he says here, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Now, Paul says here, don't be fooled. Yeah, and don't fool yourself. Why? Well, he says, because God is not mocked. In other words, we don't need to fool ourselves, because we cannot fool God. No, we can't fool him. There's no need to even try. And now again, this is what I've been made to understand when it comes to this right here, and that is whatever you sow, whatever you and I sow, whether it's our money or our time here at worship, or our personal time that we spend in devotion and study, or our personal work. When I say personal work, what I'm talking about here is, I mean those little behind the scenes things that we do for the church. Yeah. Yeah, we're not ringing no bell and blowing no whistle. We're not telling everybody, look at me, look at what I'm doing. No. These little behind the scene things that many of us do for the church. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know how all of the stuff around here gets done. I don't, I thought I knew who was doing what, and when I approached the person about it, they said, it ain't me. I don't know. So, who I thought was doing, that wasn't him. And so I don't know how all of this stuff gets done around here. But I know that somebody's doing it. Yeah, somebody's doing it. And so you can fool me. But I tell you what, you can't fool God. No, you can't fool God. God knows what you're doing. Yeah, he knows all that little stuff that you're doing, for the church, and you're not sounding no horn and nothing like that. He sees you. Yeah, he sees you. He knows what you're doing, and according to the Bible, you're going to reap what you're sowing. Yeah, you're going to reap what you're sowing, and so God knows. I believe I read somewhere, the Lord sees us in secret. Yeah, and so those little things that you're doing, trying to do them in secret, the Lord sees you. Yeah, he see you. And you're going to reap what you're sowing. And this is really one of the basic principles of this physical life. And that is, if you want good grades, let's say you're a kid and you want good grades, then you're going to have to sow good study habits. Yeah, there's no getting around that. That's if you want good grades. If you want an advancement on your job, and I believe Brother Kelly just got one, but if you want that advancement on the job, then you're going to have to sow good work habits. And they're not going to give you the job if you're always calling in and your work ain't never done. No, they're going to give it to somebody else that's sowing good work habits. If you are a husband, if you are a wife, and you want a good marriage, then you're going to need to sow love and respect for one another. That's the only way it's going to work. Yeah, and the Apostle Paul lets us know that this same basic principle applies in the spiritual realm of life. He says again, God is not mocked. No, he's not mocked. And so we cannot fool God. And because of this, whatsoever man soweth, that's what you're going to reap. Yeah, that's what you're going to also reap. Now we as Christians, I believe that we need to pay close attention to what the Apostle Paul says in verse 8 of Galatians chapter 6. Let's look at verse number 8, Brother Anthony Thomas. Galatians chapter 6 and verse number 8.
But he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh sow corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. All
right. And so again, let's also look at Matthew chapter 25. Matthew chapter 25 and verse number 46. Matthew chapter 25 and verse number 46. Matthew 25, 46. The Lord says here, and these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. Now, I don't know if you see it or not, but now according to the Bible, sowing is temporary. Yeah, it's temporary. You know, when you go back up to the earlier verses in chapter 25 of Matthew, and you read what has taken place there, and you see the things that the righteous and the wicked have done, their sowing was just temporary. Yeah, it's just temporary. In other words, you see, the things that we think that we're getting away with on this side of life, it's only temporary. Yeah, no matter how good it may be going, it's only temporary. And many of us, we're still doing things that we need to give up. And many of us, we're still holding on to things that we need to turn loose. And the reason why we're doing this is because we still don't realize, not fully, that our sowing in this physical life, it's only temporary. Yeah, it's only temporary. But now, the reaping, it's going to be forever. Yeah, again, the sowing that we do on this side of life, temporary. It's only temporary. But the reaping that we do when this life is over, it's going to last forever. Well, now, what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, this means that I may sow a sinful life that I have enjoyed according to the flesh, and I may sow this life 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. But now, when this physical life comes to a close, and make no mistake about it, it's coming to a close. Yeah, we cannot stay here forever. Hebrews chapter 9. Hebrews chapter 9, in verse number 27. Brother Thomas, if you would, Brother Ken Thomas. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27.
Just as it is appointed for man to die once, and after that comes judgment.
All right. You see, we all got an appointment. Every last one of us. Yeah. And it does not matter where you are or what you're doing. You're going to keep this appointment. Yeah, you're going to keep this appointment. Yeah, you see, when our time is up and death comes knocking on our door, we can't tell death to come back later. Right now, we busy. No, we can't tell them why you here now. Things are going good. I just got this thing on track. Now, when our time is up, it's up. Yeah. And so this right here, this tells me that what we do and what we say in this life, these things matter. Yeah, and they should matter to us because they matter to God. Yeah, the things that we do in this life matter to God. Let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1, we're going to start with verse number 11. And listen to what the Lord says here. He says, "To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me?" And in other words, the Lord is, he's like, what is this? What is this y'all doing? To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifice unto me, saith the Lord. The Lord said, he said, I'm full of burnt offerings and of rams and the fat of fed beasts. Yeah. He said, I delight not in the blood of bullocks or in lambs or goats, he-goats. When you come to appear before me, who has required this at your hand to tread my courts? Verse 13, he said, bring no more vain oblations, incense, and is an abomination unto me. The new moons and the Sabbath, the calling of assemblies. Lord, I cannot. It's like, I can't even no more. Yeah, away with it, he says. It is iniquity. Even the solemn meetings. He says, your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hateth. They are trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Verse 16. Wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do. You see what the Lord wants from us? He wants us to act right. Yeah, he don't care about you coming in throwing $1,000 in the collection plate, but if you're gonna go right back out and keep sinning, yeah, that's not gonna cover it. No, he wants you to act right. Yeah. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Because again, the way what we do and what we say in this life, they should matter to us as Christians because these things matter to God. Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. It says here, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Again, the things that we do in this life, they should matter to us because they matter to God. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 25. Beginning with verse number 34. The Lord says here, he says, then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee a hunger, and fed thee, or thirst, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took you in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? Verse 40 says, and the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto the least of these my brethren, you've done it unto me. Yeah, again, what we do and say in this life, they matter. Yeah, because these things matter to God. Let's do one more. Let's go to Revelations. Revelations chapter 22. Revelations chapter 22 in verse number 11. Revelations 22:11. It says here, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he that is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. Yeah, you see, as the old preachers used to say back in the day, the way you die, that's the way you come into the judgment. Yeah. And so there will be no deathbed confessions. Yeah, there will be no praying the lost out of purgatory, as I've heard. And there will definitely be no pulling Jesus off to the side to holler at him at the judgment. It don't work like that. No. John says that after we die, in Revelations 14:13, John says that after we die, and we cross over to the other side, John says that there is only one thing that's coming with us. Yeah, and in Revelations 14:13, he says that our works Yeah. Yeah, our works do follow us. Yeah. You see, whatever we have done with this life that God has given us, and that's one thing people don't realize. They don't understand that this life that you have, this is a gift from God. Yeah, and so it matters what you do with it. Yeah, John says that that's what's going to follow us over to the other side. Our works, the things that we have done in this body that God has given us. And so Paul is warning us back over in Galatians chapter 6. He's warning us back over in Galatians chapter 6 and verse number 8. He says, for he that soweth to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. Yeah, you know, it's really sad. It's really sad because now many of us, we don't have time for God these days. Yeah, we really don't. No, because we too busy. We too busy doing our own thing. And so we kind of put God on the back burner until we need him. And then we want to pull him out and say, Lord, help me. But again, many of us, we're just too busy. We don't have time for God. But now just remember, whatever it is that we are planting, that's what's coming up. That's what's coming up. Like I heard one lady, she said, you can't make grown people do nothing. Now the subject was living right. And her reply was, you can't make grown people do nothing. And that's true. That's more truth than fiction in a lot of cases. Yeah, you can't make grown people do nothing. But now, what grown people need to know is that when it comes to God, you are going to harvest whatever it is that you planted. Yeah, that's what you're going to harvest. Yeah, all of us are going to reap whatever it is that we are sowing. Let's go to Matthew chapter 6. Matthew chapter 6, beginning with verse number 19. It says, lay not up for yourselves treasure upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Let me ask you something. Where's your treasure? Where is it? Let me ask you something else. Is this verse condemning being rich? Or is Jesus saying that it's wrong to save your money, and that you need to spend it all up as soon as you get it? Yeah, because he said, lay up not for yourselves on earth. You know? But this is not what the Lord is saying. What the Lord is really saying here is do something good with what you have. Yeah, don't just pile it all up. You know, that's what the rust and the moth does. You know, don't just pile it all up. Do something good with what you have. First John chapter 3, in verse number 17. 1 John 3:17, it says, but whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him? Now, if we see a member of the church that's in need, and we have the wherewithal, we have the blessing, we have a little something to help them out, then that's what we should do. We should help them out. Yeah. let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse number 8. 1 Timothy 5:8, it says, but if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Yeah, you see, even in our physical families, if we can help them, we should try to help them. Yeah, now let me say this while it's on my mind. Let me say this. And that is, now, whatever help that we provide, whether it's for our family members, a member of the church, or a stranger, whatever help that we provide, now, this help needs to be governed by good judgment. Yeah, it needs to be governed by good judgment. Yeah, because now I remember one time a member came to the brothers and asked for some help. And of course we did. We helped him. And we'll finish the story up and we'll talk about it some more next week. But now, a member came to the brothers and asked for some help. And of course we did that. Was glad to do it. Well, a few months later, this member came back again. And we helped him again and was glad to do it. Well, now, not long after that, they came back again. And so, before we gave them the assistance this time, I said to them, look, how about you bring in your bills and stuff and let's sit down with it. We got a member here that can help you kind of, track down and see where things are going off track with you. And maybe we can come up with a budget for you, to kind of help you out here, Well, after I said this, the member shook his head at me. He was like, no. And they said, I'm not going to do that. They said, I don't want y'all in my business. Now, as far as I was concerned, this conversation was over. After they made this statement right here, I'm good. I'm done with that. Yeah, because you see, you don't want no help. You want somebody to be your fool. And that's not going to happen. No, that's not going to happen. We have time. We'll talk more about this next time.
Thank you for visiting the Church of Christ at Washington Park. Hope to see you again soon.